I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Ooh, welcome to our hotel. It's filled with rooms just for you.
And witches from Eastwick.
And witches, yes, they live in the rooms, but not all of the rooms. You can have a room without a witch if you so please.
Yes.
But it costs
just
extra.
Don't choose a room that the individual numbers add up to 13.
That's right.
Very bad.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. This is a potato pick, but you don't need, besides whatever that means to the new listeners, this is Green and Faceless on the Couch. That's what the show is called. And it's a podcast about movies and TV. And once a month we do an episode called The Potato Pig, where our patrons suggest topics for us to watch, and then they vote on it, and then we do it. Indeed. If you're interested in being a part of that, you can go to patreon.com/greenfaceless, and we'd appreciate your patronage if you like this show.
Yeah. We got a lot of cool stuff there. We got merchandise for every specific tier. We got exclusive episodes for certain tier and above.
The $2 tier is just to participate in the vote for the potato pig.
You still get merchandise at the other tiers.
At the other tiers.
You'll have a good time.
Yes, you will. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
to... And with the $2 tier, you get all the fucking voting power that you can ever ask for.
That's right. Once a month, you can decide if we watch good movies or bad movies. And we'll watch them and we'll talk about them. And it will be a time. It's always a time.
But our current suggestion-giving patrons... They haven't steered us astray yet. They haven't given us awful films. They've just been giving us good shit after good shit.
Yeah.
Every month.
They have. They've been kind. And you guys don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
And it seems to me that if someone is being unkind, the kinder choice gets chosen in the vote. So if you guys want to be mean, I just feel like when we're roasting a little bit, but then again, somebody who suggested that it might be their favorite movies, and then I feel a little bad. But that's the show. That's the gamble that we take. We did lose a subscriber on YouTube.
I think they would have known that it's an awful film and we would shit on it if they suggested bad stuff like that. I think they'd be expecting and hoping for the rants and the outrages.
That's right. And sometimes I just need a little bit of... It's kind of cathartic. Like, I don't want this show to become that. I feel like there's other shows that fill that niche, but just every once in a while, I would like that. Just, a little shit shower.
My heart can't take being completely negatively angry all the fucking time. I do too much to my heart already.
Yeah. I eat a lot of cheese, but I guess it's supposed to be good for my stomach. I don't know. Everything sucks.
Yeah. Everything gives cancer, let's be honest.
That's true. Well, we're focusing on the illustrious Nicolas Cage this week. We're getting a lot of actor focuses. I love that. Actor spotlights. Oh my god. Jack Nicholson. That's definitely not the first time.
I was like, I don't know if it's a bit or if he's serious.
I would say confused.
No, I understand. You see that nickel there, and you're just like, Nicholas.
That's right. Nicholas
Obviously,
Jack.
He is the one true God.
No! I refuse. Either.
Join the cult.
No!
Do it. One of us. Google gobble.
Okay. So, Jack Nicholson, who was very informative to my father's sense of humor, Like 100%.
Yeah, the films that were suggested were films where Jack is the villain, where he gets to play his evilest, where he's grinning, where he has that full, just, I don't know, sometimes
energy.
He's charming and persuasively evil, sometimes he's just like demonically evil. And I think they chose two really good versions of Jack's villainous attitudes here. We got The Shining, classic, Stanley Kubrick, gotta love it.
That's right.
And The Witches of Eastwick, which I have a fun story about that I will unload when we get to The Witches of Eastwick. But first, we're talking The Shining.
Let's talk The Shining. So, we didn't really discuss, we typically do, who's gonna do the synopsis.
Right. Maybe since I have a story for The Witches of Eastwick, I should do The Shining. That way I'm just not talking for like 15 minutes straight of The Witches of Eastwick.
Okay, well, you might also have to help me with the plot of The Witches of Eastwick. Probably because I'm of the opinion there's not much one.
Yeah, I kind of... I remember the setup for that. I don't remember we did get to see The Witches of Eastwick together, which was very exciting. We get to have a movie night.
Right.
It was lovely. It was really fun. But after about 3/4 of the way into the movie, you pulled out the computer and were like, "Let's play Civ 6." And I was just like, "Oh, there it all goes." I forgot this whole movie.
100%. I do. I almost said doo-doo. I do that for quite a few of these films to admit, my shame. But that's because sometimes we watch a movie and it's like, I just get very antsy, and it's like, I would maybe not be watching this if it wasn't for the review. Right.
I completely understand. You need a secondary outlet to burn off that ADHD, pretty much is all it is.
Yeah.
Because I do that all the time where I'll be watching a movie and I'll be like, I can't focus on this right now. I want to be doing something else. And then I'll either clean, I'll exercise, or I'll read a book, even play a handheld game, pull out my Switch and play something on there. Like, I completely understand.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be able to read just because I struggle too much with that. But, exercise, that's an idea. I do.
It definitely helps, honestly.
I do play with garlic sometimes. Like, it's...
right.
Well, she also needs that.
Yeah, that's another thing I do. I do play with Zelda too. She does sit quietly by herself until finally she's like, "Oh, he's on the ground. Are we playing now?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm just doing push-ups, but I'll finish this one, then I'll just say fuck the exercise and play with you. That's fine."
Nice.
We had that a lot. But The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, very, I don't know, it's a monument in the genre. Like, a lot of people talk The Shining when they talk horror films. It has all the eerie atmosphere that you could ever ask for, like the score. Who did the score here? Music by Wendy Carlos and Rachel Elkind. It's fucking great. I love the eerie music that plays in the background throughout like most of this movie, especially that opening scene where you're just seeing like the mountains of Colorado and everything, and it's just like I'm just like, yeah, I love it. It's very it really sets the mood. And then the opening credits happen, and it's just like scrolling on the screen, and it's just like blue text, and it's kind of like cheaply done, and it even more somehow sets the mood because it makes you a little unnerved because you're like, you come in and I mean, it's just Stanley Kubrick. That's how he does a lot of his shit. But like, I don't know, when I'm watching this movie, 42 years later now, since when it came out, and I'm just sitting here, I'm just like, you wouldn't think like this big epic film called The Shining, what a lot of people know just off of the name, basically. You wouldn't expect it to just have such cheap opening credits, and somehow it unnerves you. I don't know how, but like it does set me on edge still with that eerie music in the background.
It seemed to me like they were trying to make reference to horror movies, but I don't know. I feel like you get that feel
Right.
more in the 80s than before this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the 80s movies have it because of this.
That's pretty much what it is, probably. And it got, like, this movie, even though it was big, like, I assume it made its budget back. Let's find out. Yeah, it made its budget back. You know, it was pretty huge, but at the same time, it was pretty hugely negative. A lot of critics hated it. It got nominated for the Raspberry Awards, or otherwise known as the Razzies, which is the year's worst films and worst actors and all that kind of stuff. It got nominated for worst actress and worst director.
Oh,
Shelley Duvall and Steven Kubrick together. Shelley's, that was later rescinded. They later were like, they apologized for nominating her for that because of the horrible treatment she received on set, because that's the big thing about The Shining. Stanley Kubrick was a tough director. You know, he liked short crews because it allowed him to do shit ton of reshoots and everything, specifically of one take, you know, that he can spend a whole fucking day doing one damn take over and over again. And, you know, you can't do that with a massive crew because that's just money out the fucking ass.
Uh-huh.
You know, you with a small crew, it's easier to just be like, all right, there's 8 of us. They can all hate me. I don't fucking care. We're doing this. You know, he liked that, but he also liked getting the most realistic performance he can get from his actors. And in doing so, that meant he would constantly torture them. Shelley specifically.
Jeez.
He would humiliate her on set. He would yell at her. He would harass her. Basically just like, he would just terrify her. And one of the infamous staircase scene. Yeah, if you know The Shining, you know that you'd probably know the scene where she's walking backwards up the stairs, swinging a bat at Jack Nicholson, who's walking up towards her, and you know, mentally harassing her himself in character. People always make fun of that scene because it's just like, she doesn't seem terrified. She seems, you know, ridiculously stale in that performance at that point. Like, in reality, they had done that scene like 120 some times. Like, it's like one of the most reshot takes in like cinema history, I think.
Jeez.
Don't take my word for it. I'm just remembering. But like, yeah, like, she was burnt the fuck out and legitimately terrified of Stanley Kubrick, because during that scene was when he was like specifically like putting her down in front of people, being like, you're the worst actress ever, like that kind of shit, like just mentally abusing this poor woman. And so it's just like, to the people who see that scene and are just like, she doesn't seem frightened at all. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. She's actually legitimately terrified in that scene.
Yeah.
She's actually like going crazy. Yeah, so there's a lot of negatives to The Shining, and that's the specific one, is the treatment of Shelley Duvall.
Well, that's upsetting.
Yeah, well, without knowing that, though, there is a lot of good. There's a lot of great, like, atmosphere shit and good acting from Jack Nicholson and you know, honestly, Shelley, too.
Also,
Danny's
interesting.
Yeah, he's okay.
Were you just about to say the opposite?
Much longer. What, Danny Lloyd?
Yeah, you were just about to say the opposite, weren't you? Of what I said.
You said he was interesting, right?
Danny is in here right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was about to say that it's not good, but interesting is a better word for that, because it's not bad. You know, he did what the director wanted him to. So
it's definitely not the book.
No, it's not the book, but at the same time, they didn't want to do what the book did because there's so much. There's more supernatural in the book. The hotel is
way
alive. It's vibrant. Way more. Yeah, and it's this evil. The hotel they go to at the very top of this mountain it's not at the top of the mountain, but it's in a mountain range in Colorado. It gets snowed off every year. You know, they have walls of snow. They can't afford to keep it open during the winter because of that. So they close it down for the winter and hire on a caretaker to watch over the place, keep the boiler running, make sure things get, you know, repaired, and everything's fine. The only problem is, every time they seem to do this and hire a caretaker, that guy goes fucking berserk and kills his family. It's happened once, and, you know, they're just like, uh-oh, we gotta get a better one this time. So they hire maniac writer Jack Torrance. One of those.
Jack Torrance.
Jack Torrance.
Yep, because Jack gets to play Jack. That's in his contract.
Indeed. It's in his contract.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the worst. I'm sorry. Yeah, they at the beginning, the beginning of the movie is Jack getting interviewed to be the. Well, actually, no, he's not even being interviewed. He's being hired on the spot. Basically, just be like, all right, you got the job. This is what's going to happen. Bring your family up here. Yada yada yada.
Right. I think it's kind of like orientation, and like in the book, that doesn't go well either. Yeah, Ullman does not like him.
Jack, he clashes so hard with that guy. You just said his name. I don't remember what
Ullman.
it was.
Stuart Ullman, played by Barry Nelson.
Thank you. Yeah, he does a good job because like the book opens up with a vicious little prick. Like that's like the first sentence, and that's describing Stuart Ullman because that's the personality that Jack is getting from him because he's just got this shit-eating grin, and he just seems like an vicious little prick as Jack calls him. Jack's a very anger-filled man with a lot of machismo and misogyny. He has a lot more misogyny in the movie than he does in the book.
Oh,
the book
100%.
He is still very...
You get a lot more in the book from Jack's perspective about how he is really trying hard to manage his anger. And and I really appreciate it in the book. Yeah. Like he's actually, obviously he's fucked up but he's human. Like Steven does a better job of making him human than he does Wendy. Yeah.
That's Steven's big problem. He doesn't know how to write women. But the thing is, in the book though, Wendy is not helpless. She is not, she doesn't like cower to Jack all the time. You know, she is a strong, she's not a strongly written female character, but she is a strong female character. You know, she is like, in the end, she's doing everything she fucking can to protect her son. Right. Not to say Shelley Duvall doesn't do it in the movie either, but she is more timid. She's more apt to be cowered by. Yeah.
Yeah. They're from Vermont, and I don't know if I believe Shelley Duvall's from Vermont, but then again, I don't really know what people sound like in Vermont.
Were they from Vermont? I thought I just assumed being Stephen King was a main thing.
Nope, they're from Vermont, at least in this movie.
Yeah.
Because that's where Jack used to teach, and then they moved to Boulder.
I'm just curious where Shelley Duvall was born. Texas.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think so.
Yeah, she's a Texan. But yeah, that's basically the setup, though, is once they get to the hotel, it's kind of becomes a slow burn, but it's not really a slow burn. It's, you know, shit happens. And it happens pretty quickly, and it snowballs into the finale. But like the first few stuff is just, you know, it's just Danny going around. He's got this thing. He's got the shining. You know, he can see otherworldly stuff.
Don't you forget about Scatman Crothers. Don't you?
Can't. Oh, you're right. I can't forget about Scatman Crothers. He has such an important role in this movie. And that's sarcasm. If I know it doesn't come across that well in
he's a lot
audio
of fun
waves.
In this movie, though. It
just
sucks the way that they did it.
Yeah, yeah. That's another big change. Is in the books when he gets there, he fucking actually is help. He does something. Yeah. You know, Steven doesn't just toss him aside once he shows up, but Stanley does. Stanley's just like, all right, you got here. Axe to the chest. Sorry, that's spoilers. But it's just like, it makes me so mad.
That's not what I recall happening when I just watched it. I thought he got shot with a shotgun. Am I wrong?
That's Misery.
My God. Is it? Jesus,
that's another Stephen King. Yeah, that's another Stephen King movie where the fun character shows up, the fun side supporting character shows up to the scene of the crime and just gets wasted immediately.
Just immediately.
It's so sad. Stephen King might be a bit of a trope, let's be honest. He might have a formula.
Well, I did really feel bad about the way that Dick Halloran's character gets treated in this movie. I did feel really bad about that because he was really good in the book. Like, he was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Like, King tries when he writes black people, but it's not quite on the mark, and it's not necessarily his fault. He's not black, but
right.
It's still pretty good. Like, his attempt, I enjoy, but moreover, like, he still makes Halloran like a full-fledged character. Like, you get to know what he's up. Yeah, very likable character too. You get to know what he's up to down in Florida. That climb up from Sidewinder, that's like a really interesting part of the book. Like, they do that in the movie, but it's just not. They don't capture it the way that it is in the book, and that's okay. Yeah, up to the point where he gets to the Overlook and immediately brushed aside, I'm okay with this interpretation.
His literal only purpose is to bring them an exit vehicle. That's it. Right. That's all he does. Yeah. And it's just sad. It makes me so sad because as you said, so I guess I didn't even explain that Dick Halloran is the chef at the Overlook Hotel. Right. He is and he also has The Shining. He has the exact same thing Danny does. He actually tells him that my grandmother called it The Shining.
Over a bowl of ice cream, and I love it. It's
exactly. And he kind of just tells Danny that he's just like, while you're here, you're gonna see some shit. It's scary, but it can't hurt you. You'll be fine. It'll be okay. This hotel has had a lot of crazy shit go down within it, and because of that, there's a lot of ghosts and ghouls, and you're gonna be scared, but you'll be okay. It can't hurt you.
Yeah, it's like TV.
Yeah,
I recall that comparison.
But don't go in that one room.
Anyways. Yeah, but don't go in that one.
What is it? 237.
I don't remember.
237. Don't go in there. It's scary. There's a creepy woman.
I'm not quite sure which room it is. I forget. Maybe if I sang a scat song about it, I remember. That would have been awesome.
They also, another thing they got completely rid of was the boiler. In the book, there's this huge boiler in the basement that Jack has to keep going, and it's so well done. I love the imagery and the metaphor of that boiler, because it's just Jack's anger. He's constantly feeding it, and it's so good. And then once he finally stops feeding it and tries to be a fucking dad, it's a great moment. I really love that ending. The movie was just like, no, we're not doing a boiler. He doesn't have to be keeping this thing going. What you talking about? It heats. It's the 80s. It just heats. It's fine.
It just
we don't even care about it.
But the boiler wasn't built in the 80s. That was the whole freaking point. And also, Allman, the reason why it hadn't been replaced when they recently did the restore was because Allman was like, it would be too expensive to do it right now. Yeah. Even though that there was money for it. They're like, we should keep this budget money and we'll keep the boiler going. And there's another character that they totally duck out. The guy whose family used to own the hotel, but he's like the caretaker, and he's the one who tells him about the boiler. Right. And he just curses every other word, and that would have honestly been a good movie character, even though he's only in that one scene.
And there was a lot to him too. There was a little mystery behind the his family owning the hotel and everything, and Jack deciphering what the hotel means. There's a lot more to the book that's just chopped out of here.
It sure is. And you only have so much time on screen that you can hold people's attention. Right. So I understand, but they don't even have the very famous lines that I'm gonna misquote. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I feel like that was, while that was great classic movie moment, it also was kind of a cop out about what he got obsessed about. Like,
yeah,
he got
that's
upset
true.
that he was collecting information, and yeah, like you said, he was just so obsessed about learning about the hotel, and that he was going to expose everything. And then the hotel convinces him that it's better if he doesn't do that. It's really interesting.
It really is. It's like, I've had a lot of conversations with people over the years where, because I'm such an old man, but like, where, I mentioned that Stephen King hated the movie. They hated the Stanley Kubrick film. That was part of a lot of the negativity too, was Stephen King watched it and was just like, nope, hated it, pissed me off. And Stephen has bent over backwards since then for a lot of his films. There have been a lot of adaptations of his works that are just gonna suck, but you look at Steven, he's just like, they're good. go see them.
They did like, My really? Story this time, but then they didn't. They
it's the Dark Tower. It's just like you wanted to see it.
No, it's not. Just do the book.
And it's so funny because then you mention it's like, well, he hated The Shining, and everybody's like, the one that was good?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? How could he hate it? This is why he hates it. They cut out so much of his story. Like, as you said, Jack's no longer obsessing about the hotel. He just has cabin fever. Yeah. He's just going crazy, man.
That's true.
He wants a frickin' drink real bad. He's an alcoholic. Didn't you get that?
Well, that's in the book, too. That's pretty similar in the book.
It is, but like that's it. That's the only thing. Is he's an alcoholic and he's got cabin fever.
I see what you're saying.
He just wants a fucking drink.
Well,
and
I think maybe we should do closing statements on this movie.
I think you're right.
We could just bump the other movie and talk this movie more, but
no. I'm in total agreement. I'm ready to wrap up. I obviously I've sounded very negative, but I love this movie.
Yeah.
You gotta hate something to love it. And that's the thing with if you love something, you hate it, kind of. There's a bit of hate, obviously. You're gonna, I don't know. I don't know what kind of metaphor I'm trying to go with here. I enjoy Stephen King. He's the reason I want to write, because as a kid, I would read his books and be like, holy fuck, this guy's telling me a story. I was enraptured like I'd never been before. As I've grown older, I found many other writers who have captured my interest. It's nice. But Stephen was the start. He was the one that I was just like, I want to do this. I want to write stories. And, because I like the way he tells stories. He has this very old man in a rocking chair taking you on a trip kind of way about him. And even though a lot of that is stripped away from this movie, it's still there. You still have that good story. It's still fun to watch Jack Nicholson just go absolutely apeshit. Because when he starts to go crazy, he starts to go crazy. And Jack Nicholson pulls it off really well, even though he was super fucking tired of the script changes and the constant reshooting of scenes. That literally he would, I read that he would get his scripts at the beginning of the day and he wouldn't even bother reading them. He would throw them in the trash because he knew by the time they went to film, there would be a new script. Because Stanley Kubrick was constantly rewriting the script, constantly changing it, constantly going over it. There's a lot of bad to this film, but the atmosphere that Stanley Kubrick captured is so fucking good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good scares. I enjoy that crazy third act where Shelley Duvall is just running through the hotel screaming her head off. I love that. She sees so many crazy things that are just kind of goofy. But at the same time, they're very unnervingly goofy. And it's great. The atmosphere's so good. But I'll only give it 3 stars. The first time I watched it, I was blown away. Because I was a kid. It was a great horror film. It scared the pants off of me as a kid. But since then, I've read the book twice or 3 times. And then I've watched the movie 10 times. Who knows how many times. So it's lost a lot of its edge for me. But it is still a good movie. There's just a lot of bad to it. So 3 stars.
Well, still pretty good. I would say Once Upon a Time, this movie probably get a face and a half. But especially with that background information of the stress on set. I mean, I get the draw of doing a method environment like that, but it's just also completely unnecessary. People work better when they aren't stressed. That's just the truth.
Scared shitless.
But anyways, it's definitely a full-face movie. I do really enjoy this movie, and if somebody would ask me, hey, do you like The Shining? I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a good movie. I probably wouldn't even think about the book, to be perfectly honest, even though I like that book. And I think that there's things in the book that are better. It's just different. It's the same but different.
Amen.
Mostly different. That's my closing statement on The Shining.
Someday we'll watch the Stephen King made version of the movie, because he made his own version of the film. Absolutely awful, but it'll be fun. We'll do a Stephen King playlist someday, probably.
Oh my god, that would be so good. I would love that.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. There's a lot of really, really tankers in there, you know?
Like, is it called Silver Bullet? Is that what it's called?
That is one of them, I believe. There's, I think Maximum Overdrive.
Oh my god, that was him?
I believe so. Yeah, he actually directed that one.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's when he was, like, tripping so fucking hard on cocaine. He decided he was like, I can direct this movie, and it's just... Steven. I love the man.
All right, we're going to do that very soon. Very soon, we'll do that.
Someday. But right now, we're going to take a soda pop break.
All right.
I love you. 3 beautiful witches. 1 lucky devil.
Oh, God. Is that the actual tagline?
I believe so. Maybe it was 3 beautiful women, 1 lucky devil.
Oh, well, we're back. Excuse me.
We're back, baby. You ready for my fun story?
All right, yeah, hit me.
So, when I was young and prepubescent, but, well, not really, but going through puberty child, very, very excited by the female body and trying very hard to sneak certain entertainments past my parents.
I'm relating so far.
Yeah, and so they were asleep. They would go to sleep, kind of early. They would wake up early too. So it's like there were hours. There were hours where I could sneak down, get on the TV, find the skin, the skin tube, whatever it was called, like those dirty channels.
Cinemax.
Didn't have to pay-per-view anything. Skinamax, thank you, Skinamax. But no, I didn't pay for anything. These were we had like all the channels back at this time period. We were able to afford all the cool TV channels and everything. It went all the way up to the 9000s where we got all the music channels. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah.
90 kids know. 90s kids know. But somewhere up there in those high range, but somewhere up in those high numbers were the certain channels that would occasionally show raunchy films, like softcore porn films. Mm-hmm. And young green traveler, again, very excited by certain things, was surfing those channels and came across a movie called The Witches of Eastwick. And I was just like, ooh, witches, that's exciting. So I watched it, and it was good. It was a good little movie that I was like, yay. Cut to about a month later, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm downstairs, I'm searching through the TV, and I come across a movie with a very similar title, but one that I thought was the exact same. It was called The Witches of Eastwick. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I could watch that movie again. That was exciting enough. And so I click on it, and it's very, very quickly learned by a young green traveler that it was not the same film. That it was a much older film, and that maybe the naughty film that I had watched had been based off of this film.
Maybe.
And I was just like,
just maybe.
It honestly might have been the first time where I realized spoofs could happen. Like, I think that was the first time I understood what a spoof film was, and I was just like, oh, it was based off of that one. I get it now. Like, I was that young. It was kind of sad. But yeah, that's my little story about the Witches of Eastwick. I watched it when I was, I don't know, 10, 11. I don't remember what time that was. But it's exciting. I remembered enjoying it as a kid and being like, wow, that was so alluring and everything.
Wow.
And then we watched it as adults.
And we watched it as an adult. And, you know, it's something.
I'm so happy we watched it together, too.
It almost is in itself a softcore porn between Jack Nicholson, Cher, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Veronica. Wait a minute. That's the ones I wanted to mention. That's it. Just those three. Yep.
Veronica Cartwright is in it as Felicia, but she's not one of the three. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, but anyhow, these three witches who are friends and don't know they're witches for some reason.
For some reason. We could all be wizards and not know it until the owl shows up, Blake.
I see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So that, I mean, these people, though they grew up, they didn't get their owls. I mean, maybe those owls were shot down. You know, maybe the conservation laws were probably not as great back in the 70s.
Right.
No, I guess I guess they would be kids in the 80s, 70s. The 70s.
Well,
or 60s,
they're also Americans. So whatever the American versions.
That's right.
Was
they didn't get their muskrat.
Is that what it is? Is that what the American version is?
They didn't get their muskrat with their piece of bark that is inscribed with runes that no one can read, lest you're a wizard.
It's just the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
Etched in a tree bark.
Yeah. And if you can read it, then it scans your eye, and then you get another letter in the U.S. Post.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
Contact JK. Actually, don't contact JK. I don't want her as part of this project.
So
we're just gonna steal your shit.
Between, by the way, Cher is playing Alexandra Medford. Susan Sarandon is playing Jane Spofford. That's a name. And Michelle Pfeiffer is playing Suki Ridgemont.
And the best part is, too, that Cher was supposed to play the character that Susan Sarandon plays. And Susan Sarandon had already been cast as Alexandra. And Cher came in and was just like, bitch. Like, this is my role. I'm doing that character. And they're like, but we've already cast that character. And she's like, well, recast the person. She's like, Jesus, Cher. She's got so much power. Another sad thing is Jack Nicholson, when he only went to audition for the role because his girlfriend, Angelica Houston, was auditioning for a role. And so Jack Nicholson gets the part, and Angelica Houston does not. That had to be awkward.
Now he has foursomes with these.
No, they're actors.
This is what this. Yeah, that obviously, and it's like also the scenes aren't that explicit either at all.
No, yeah, he does get to roll around on a bed. I think he might have been shirtless.
Yes,
but he had pants on, and that was
very high-waisted pants.
He was getting to be seductive and enjoying himself.
He
was definitely enjoying that day.
At one point, I don't know, maybe probably not. But they get together, these three women. Susan Sarandon, by the way, is a music teacher. Alexandra is a sculptor. And Suki has a bazillion children and her husband left her. That is their stories.
Yeah.
And they get together every once in a while to have, like, I don't know, game night or something. But they get really drunk on wine and, do, friend stuff. Simultaneously, they all wish for a man to come into their life, and they throw out all these descriptors, and I'm like, you really want this person to show up? And very suddenly, driving a hearse, if I recall correctly, is Daryl Van Horn, played by Jack Nicholson, who shows up in the town and buys this old mansion that they wanted to be a historical building. Somebody was working on that. I think Suki was.
Right.
Anyhow, very quickly, he seduces all three of the women, and they are equally just fine with the fact that he's sleeping with all three of them. In fact, they have adventures all at the same time a lot. And word gets out at the town because apparently Felicia Alden, played by Veronica Cartwright, this is the woman who becomes possessed, in quotations, right?
Right. Yeah, she sees through Daryl's mirage, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes,
facade.
Yes, she sees something in him, and also in the women, those three women, and she like starts spouting religious hysterics whenever she comes in contact with them. And her husband, Clyde, played by Richard Jenkins.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, me too. He's just beside himself, doesn't know what to do about it. And anyhow, it causes a big howdy-do in town, and even though they're doing better at their jobs because they're getting good sex, I guess, they are being like booed and hissed at by the town members. And then they like kind of realize that they're being somehow manipulated by Daryl. And so they try to trick him away. I didn't really understand how they got to that point. But they decided to leave because of a fight. Maybe that's true. They decide to all leave simultaneously because of a fight, and he does do some kind of a gleam on them to keep them.
Yeah.
Placid.
One by one, he seduces them again.
Yeah.
He reels them back in. Yeah, he's very skeevy, very maniacal. I liked it. I liked Jack Nicholson's charisma in this, even though I'm very happy. I think this movie might have given me problems as a kid. I think I might have been like, this is why I don't have confidence to talk to women, because everything that this guy is saying I find utterly tasteless and disgusting.
Yes.
And yet the women are eating it all up in this movie. I'm just like, what? Like this. I think that's where a lot of issues brewed. Because as an adult, I'm like, I don't think a lot of women, well, not a lot of women. I'll say that there are probably women who do similarly agree with Cher and Michelle Pfeiffer and Susan Sarandon. But I also know a lot more women who would find Jack Nicholson absolutely disgusting in this movie.
Well, okay. At first, Cher does. I feel like that's part of the whole thing. And honestly, Susan
I think all of them kind of have a bit of it.
Yes, they do. So, like, I understand what you're saying about what it did to your psyche. But in the movie, I think as an adult viewer, you're supposed to get that something's not quite right here. They're going for this guy even though he's a pig. I think that's what you're supposed to get, but I'm sure there's a bunch of men who are like, oh yeah, that's right. You like it like that. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, and it happens a lot too. This movie feels a lot like a Stephen King story too. Yeah, but like it has a lot of like the New Englandy horror feel that Stephen King is like known for. And he has a lot of characters like that in his books too, where it's like the male is a little bit of a pig. But the way Stephen King writes his women's characters, they're always just like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. This slob of a human being. I'm just like, okay. I'm sure there are some women out there who love that kind of shit, so.
That's true. That is true. There's men who like that sort of shit too. And not like being I'm not talking about being the dominant persona in that relationship either. People like what they like. But I don't think that this is a positive representation.
Yeah, exactly. And I was surprised coming back to this because the director was George Miller. I didn't know that as a kid. And I know George Miller for so many other things now, specifically Mad Max. You know, he did all the Mad Max films. And, you know, that's basically all I was like acquainting with him was that. And then when we came back, and I did a quick research, and I was like, "Oh my god, you're fucking kidding me!" And I was very excited to show you guys the director. I remember that when the movie started, I was like, "All right, when they show the director, you won't believe it." And then it took like 15 fucking minutes for them to finally show who the director was, and I was like, "There it is, finally!" God damn, it was George Miller. It's very hilarious to me, but it definitely I see his style still in this film. There's a lot of his
maybe. It fits better in his weird world. It fits better there than it did in
specifically in the character acting. Yeah, 'cause once that third act really kind of came around, that's where you started to get more of that weird taste, because there's a lot of weird that happens in the third act.
Yeah.
A lot of, I don't think it was CGI, but it was some kind of special effects. There's a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little bit of computer help, but it was definitely some kind of animation, semi-photorealistic animation. They definitely took his image and broke it apart for that. It was ridiculous.
Made him big.
Yes, they embiggened him.
Jack Nicholson. Oh, that's great. He has a movie, George Miller does, coming out soon. But yeah, I can't remember what it's called. It's like 10,000 Years of Longing or something like that. It's Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton. Idris Elba plays like I don't know if the term is correct, but a genie.
Oh,
he's like trapped in the bottle, and Tilda Swinton.
What was this movie?
I think it's called 10,000 Years of Longing. I want to call it that, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. Huh. I'm excited for it though. But it's George Miller's next film. Okay. And yeah, I'm kind of excited for it. Who knows? I don't know why I went on that tangent.
I like those two actors, so I'm down.
Yeah, and like I like, George Miller. He gets the best out of his actors, and like he does the same here. To bring it back to Witches of Eastwick, because I don't know why I went on a tangent, but I'm sure there was a point I was making. It's lost now.
Yeah, we're all here with you though, and we're back on the rails. We're back on the rails.
we're all trailed along, dragged behind. But yeah, I think all I was trying to get at was that George Miller does great directing here, even though it does kind of just get weird in the third act. And we were playing games. I don't really remember exactly the third act, but I remember it got fucking weird.
It got fucking, so like I said, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that they tried to leave him. He gleamed him back, and then like the next day they sent him out of town. Like they conspired behind his back a little bit. They sent him out of town, and then they found a voodoo doll of him, or they turned it into a voodoo doll of him. And
right,
yeah, and that's what happened. And then they started fucking with that because they're like, we gotta find a way to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, I'm not questioning your judgment. I know you are correct. All that comes back to me. I do remember it. But it's just fucking weird. Nonetheless, it's still just fucking weird.
Yeah. And if I were to...
But at the same time, I do really... This is all based off of a John Updike novel. So I really do want to read that now, because it sounds very... it sounds like something up my alley. Like, I think I would really enjoy it.
In the novel, it is a lot more focused on the sex.
Nice.
Yeah. And also... they know that they're witches, and also...
Oh, good. Because that bothered me.
He is nicer to them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do like Jack Nicholson just to get to bathe in his skeeviness. Because, like, he eats that up. It's great. He really does a great performance here. I guess I'm kind of just turning it into my closing statement, if that's okay.
Do it.
I mean... I enjoyed the jokes. There were a lot of good jokes. The three women are all fun in their own right. They have great personalities, great charisma and chemistry. They do, despite the qualities that we've mentioned, like the weird all around. It's much raunchier than I thought it would be, than I remembered it being.
Yeah.
So it's like, despite all of that, I think everybody did amazingly. But because of the raunchiness, because of some of the weird sex-driven, actions and him being a pig and them loving it, there's just a lot that turned me off. I felt a little dirty watching it, and I didn't like the dirtiness because I'm a prude. And so I give it a 2.5 stars. I still did enjoy it, but at the same time, it wasn't what I was expecting it. And I give it 2.5.
I'm not gonna give it less than a face, but I can't say I necessarily recommend. While I don't care if there's raunchiness in my movie, this movie, that was kind of the plot, but it wasn't supposed to be. Like in American Pie, they know it's the plot. They know that the sex is the plot. But in this, it's supposed to be about witches who bring somebody to their place by accident, their town by accident. And it's just about the sex, and also the scenes for that aren't that intriguing. So, I don't know.
They are alluring.
They are alluring, yes, but it's not like Game of Thrones or anything.
Would you?
And if that's the only thing that's in the movie, I'd want that. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. Would you recommend the single episode of Charmed with the same concept as this movie?
I think it's probably more fun. I don't know. I don't know if more fun's fair.
That's right. We didn't get there yet, did we?
I don't think we did. No, we didn't get much.
You and I, we got to hang out more. I don't think
we got that far. We do. I don't think we got very far into the second season, if we even got that far. We might not even got out of the first.
That's fair. I don't think we did, because there's a big thing at the end of the first, and I don't think you've hit that yet. So
something that
we gotta watch my 3 favorite witches.
Something that would make me be like, oh, now I have to get these witch girls in my face. That sounded weird.
Yes. It definitely picks up after the first season, I think. Charm does. I mean, overall, it's still more exciting than Witches of Eastwick. I'm sorry, Eve.
But I should just go and watch the new series, though, right? Instead.
No. Well, I haven't watched it, so I can't say anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as intrigued by the new series. I don't like reboots of shows. Like, why fucking bother? That show was on air for 10 fucking years. Like, it had its era. Make your own new era. Do something else. It doesn't have to be Charmed. Just do some other witchy story.
Yeah.
Call it something else. Hex. Call it Hexed.
There's probably something called
sure.
that. Maybe TV's just been on too long, and they're like, oh, we don't know what to call new shows anymore. Oh,
we finally did it. We ran out of new entertainment.
The show I pitched, I didn't realize that it was the same show that was made when I was a kid and that I watched every Wednesday. I just forgot.
Right. Dude, I used to do that. As a kid. Is like, I would read a book, and then I would show up to class with like a written short story, and I'd be like, "Look at this, what I wrote," and my teacher would read it and be like, "Oh yeah, it's like King Arthur," and I was just like, "Oh, that's what I just did, didn't I?"
Damn
I just totally finished reading that King Arthur book, and I just totally wrote King Arthur again. Oh man,
running out of entertainment.
But the actor spotlight, to wrap it all up. Which film better spotlights Jack Nicholson's abilities, I guess?
Abilities. Well, I don't know.
I will say that I like The Shining more. I think, I've watched it so many fucking times. Like, even though I spent all 30 or 40 minutes or whatever, however long we talked about it just kind of being negative, that was just because I wanted to highlight things that I don't hear about often when people talk about it, because they don't know about it. Mm-hmm. They don't know about the Shelley Duvall treatment and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously cinephiles do. People who watch movies, they know a lot more about it. But it's, it is a much better film in my opinion, because I would go back to it over Witches of Eastwick.
Oh, yeah.
But in regards to the actor and spotlighting Jack Nicholson, I think he has way more fun with Witches of Eastwick than he did with The Shining, and that's why I'm going to choose this as the winner.
Okay, I feel like he got to do a lot of fun things, and some of it reminded me of that Joker performance, but I gotta disagree. I think, like, the more serious, like he still gets to go, he still gets to be Jack Nicholson in The Shining, but it's still like a grounded character. I'm gonna enjoy that more than this goofy character any day of the week. Unfortunately,
that's fair.
So we're gonna have to disagree this episode.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, I do love his performance in The Shining. I also love the goofy face that he makes at the end.
Yeah,
where he's frozen and icy. Oh, it's so fun.
That's hilarious.
But that's it. That's been the Actor Showcase. That's been Jack Nicholson's highlight. Jack, we love you. Come on the show sometime. We'll have a great time.
Yeah,
we'll talk.
Sure.
What was that? We'll talk The Departed. We'll talk Chinatown. I don't ever actually want to watch Chinatown again. I will for the show though, but
the internet's gonna stone me again because I have not watched Departed. Pretty sure.
Oh man, but you've seen Chinatown?
No.
Ah.
But
I stone you for both of those.
I know of both.
The next Jack Nicholson spotlight right there. We'll have it coming your way.
Jack Nicholson spotlight.
Whenever you suggest it, yeah. Whenever the Patreon patrons suggest it, and that's they do so at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Blah blah blah. We already did that. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
Blah blah blah. I am the Faceless Leon. Thank you so much for listening, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.